Well, spring has truly arrived. It's mid-spring now. We're into May, well into the first week of May. And this has been, of course, an odd spring because it's the year of the coronavirus pandemic, which I'm sure all of you are experiencing right along with us. So if you live in an area, as we do, where we're under stay-at-home orders, it's really nice that the weather is finally turning nice enough to be able to get outside routinely and enjoy nature because there's not that much else to do. Now, the flowers aren't all up yet. In fact, most of them are not up. Everything's still pretty green. But we're at the period where our flowering trees are looking really good. So we've got crabapple trees and Kwanzaa cherry trees and dogwood trees, and they're all flowering and looking good, attracting the bees. And the birds are coming back. And all in all, it just feels like the year is finally waking up. And for birds, we've got some of our old friends who overwintered here, like Mrs. Bluebird, who you can see up here, and our robins, who surprised us by sticking around all winter. So they're getting much more lively now, and goldfinches, and all of our friends who are here this winter. And since springtime really got going, we've been seeing more of Mr. and Mrs. Cardinal at the feeders as well. And of course, they are so beautiful that we really do like having them around. And we had a very wet spring this year, and it seemed like that encouraged a lot more activity at our feeders. Maybe it was hard to find food because everything was so wet. It was an incredibly wet spring this year, and it became actually a pretty cold spring after a very warm winter, so that was kind of surprising. But we've had a lot of activity at the feeders. Our long-term residents who overwintered here have really been appreciative of having the feeders to come and eat at. The bluebirds particularly. We've had quite a few bluebirds this year, and they really have flocked to the feeders. And we've also had, of course, our resident robin. And we don't have to put food out for too long before he decides to make an appearance. And here he is. Yep, time to chow down. From the spring through the fall, we get quite a few dove here. They really prefer to eat off the ground. They like to eat the seeds that all the finches and bluebirds drop. So we can usually find them under the feeders, but sometimes they'll come up and eat right from the source. And we have had quite a few of them lately, so there's been a gaggle of them working the feeders pretty hard. But they're fun to watch. Over the years, Mary Pat has put up quite a few birdhouses on the property. And this one, with the interesting face, was given to us by good friends Mark and Colleen Noble when they moved out of the area as a goodbye present. And we do miss them as neighbors. But our new neighbors, of course, are these bluebirds who have taken over the house. And they take it over every year. And you can see Papa Bluebird has been coming back with groceries for the kids. And they're back and forth all day. And it's really pretty interesting. And when we first put this house up, it seemed like they were a little leery of it. And I would be too. Since it looks like some guy's going to swallow you whole. But they eventually figured it out. And it's become a favorite with the bluebirds. Well, the bluebirds are definitely security conscious. And if they're not running food back and forth to the kids, they're usually perched on one of the high trellises out on the deck where they can keep a pretty good watch on everything that's coming and going around their property. Other returning friends are this pair of mating tree swallows. They selected this house last year. It was the first time we had seen them. And it looks like they would like to lease it from us again this year because Mr. Tree Swallow is back and he is checking it out very carefully. He wants to make sure that it's a good value for the money. So I'm sure he'll be stopping by the office later today to put a deposit down on it. Well, the last of our tenants are these sparrows, occupying the sparrow cottage, which is in the side yard. This is kind of an interesting birdhouse because it was originally built purely as a decorative birdhouse. Mary Pat saw it in one of these little antique, knick-knack type shops that we have in a local village near here. And she bought it, and she asked me if I could turn it into an actual functioning birdhouse, make it weatherproof and good. So probably 4 years or so ago, that's what we did. I took it apart and then totally rebuilt it as a watertight, weatherproof house with a hinged back so we can get in and clean it out. And the sparrows moved in, and they've moved in every year since. Now, this is perched up on, about 7 feet up on the trunk of what was a cherry tree. That we removed the top of the tree, kept the trunk, and used it as a pedestal for this birdhouse. And Mary Pat has grown clematis up around it to provide it with some shade and some cover. And these guys just love it. They come back every year, and they're fascinating to watch. I think they're very, very cute. So here's Mr. and Mrs. Sparrow on moving day. You can see they've been out getting ready to move in. And Mr. Sparrow's been inside. He's probably been painting the walls. And Mrs. Sparrow's got a mouthful of furniture that she's got to move in to make that nest. So they were back and forth this day getting materials to decorate the inside of their new home. And I'm sure pretty soon there'll be a bunch of little sparrows. Well, we hope you enjoyed this look at the birds that inhabit our backyard. A look at them in mid-spring. Just last night, I saw my first hummingbird, which I think was Mary Pat's second of the season. So they're getting here now. So hopefully before too long, we'll have a video for you that has some good hummingbird footage, as well as a lot of our other feathered friends from the backyard feeders. So until next time, take care of yourselves.